I'm Jack, and I'm one of three members of the group Running Clan. Me, Liam and Elsender started Running Clan like late 2017. We became like quite successful and well known in like Newcastle's like underground scene. And then last September I became pretty ill, so one of my ideas was, from the start actually, one of my ideas was not just to have Running Clan, but to try and make like a scene in the Northeast for like this type of trap metal music. We got to know like other artists across like the period of time that we performed. So around last September, we got together with about 4 or 5 local artists, and we made like a sort of collective. So that's North Gods. So Running Clan is like a thing within itself, and then North Gods is like an umbrella of like me, obviously Running Clan, me, Liam and Elsender, and then Scapegoat, Kush Noodle and Dark. If anyone knows them, that's what North Gods is, if anyone's confused. So originally the first thing that we did, I think it was last September, is I just got in touch with Scapegoat and I said, do you want to like, you and Kush Noodle can cover this gig, like I'll be there but I can't perform. And it went down like really well. So from then on, like me and Liam had to sit down and we were like, let's get them together and like ask them to be like a proper thing, and you boys can take over just whenever I'm not able to, like when I'm not well enough, or they have the same energy in that as me kind of thing. Like Dark definitely does, like they go crazy in that, so I'm happy to have them kind of, well, I'm definitely not happy to have them take my place, but you know what I mean? If this was like, when we performed here was like your first time seeing them or whatever, that was probably the peak of like when everything kind of reached its cusp and that. Like I remember being on this stage and mate, like people just knew the words. Like wherever I was looking in that, and it was just like, that was like the moment where I was just like, fuck, this is like real. I don't even know who I'm looking at, and they're like shouting words back to us. And I've still got like a Snapchat video saved on my phone, I watch it all the fucking time, of just like, haven't even got the mic to my mouth, like for Daft Cunts. I've just got it like that to the crowd, and you can hear the song perfectly. Everyone's just like, get the fuck up, it's so like bouncing. Like, I remember the room being like 300 times bigger because in my head it was like such a, do you know what I mean, like a monumental moment. But yeah, that was like, that is probably, I don't know if it's the best memory of my life, but that is probably one of the best memories of my life. I remember the next day, like my sister and that were here. My sister was ringing us being like, I know you were good in that, like I know like running or like doing well, but I didn't expect that, like holy shit, like she was like, I'm so proud of you. Like it's weird being here, because performing here, the last time I was here was then obviously. That was probably one of my favourite memories ever. And then, you know, we've done a couple after that, and we've done like Riverside and stuff, and it was just going up and up and up. And like, it's so, I can't tell you how frustrating it is that at that moment, that's when everything physically just like crashed down. So I tried for like the longest period of time, like since this time last year, I've tried to like continue doing whatever I can. That show at Riverside that I did, I was ill then, man. Like, I'd already lost weight and stuff. When I'd done that session with you, I was already ill. So I pushed and pushed, and like eventually, like it degrades over time. Like it's getting worse over time, and I can't I can't even record now. Like if I rap now, I mean I could try and do it like I'm talking, but that's like, mate, I can't do it. I've tried like to rap like this, it just doesn't. So yeah, like when I record, if I do any kind of vocals, like the way I would do it, it hurts. Like it hurts. It sets everything off. Like I get pain like in my chest, my arm, my legs, my balls, which is like really feels like emasculating. Do you know what I mean? Like going from being like so confident on stage and like having that like masculine energy in that, to like now I can't even rap without getting pain in my balls. It's like, that's such a, it's a weird thing, man. It's a weird feeling. You feel fragile. You know what I mean? One of the reasons I started running is because I had like a career as a personal trainer, and all of the symptoms and that I was getting, just like fatigue and not being able to digest certain foods, basically just stopped us from pursuing that. Like I wasn't at like a place where I could like build muscle and that, because it was giving us pain when I was lifting weights. So I couldn't do that anymore, and me and Liam just over a small period of time like started doing a couple of freestyles and that, and people took it seriously, and that's when we started running. And I was like, right, well if I can't do these things, you know, I grew up doing like free running and gymnastics as well, had to knock that on the head. So I thought I'm gonna put everything into my music, and like we did, and it got really far, and I'm like, you know, I'm dead proud of her for that. I think it was probably this time last year, maybe a little bit earlier, I was drinking a cup of coffee, and mate, it just felt like everything melted. Like I don't even know how, I thought I had Crohn's for ages, I thought I had like Crohn's disease or something, so did the doctors. I got tested for all sorts of shit, given medication for gastritis and that. Half of it like made it worse. So I spent just ages, mate, ages waiting like for the NHS to like give us like a diagnosis, and they just couldn't find out what it was. And when they found out it wasn't Crohn's or gastritis, they just kind of knocked it on the head and said it's not really for us to deal with anymore. So I was just like left, like what am I meant to do from there? I was off sick, and I remember going back to work. I went back to, even though I was really ill, I went back to work, forced myself back to work to get money to go over to Germany myself and pay for like testing over there. And it's a fucking good job I did, because I actually got diagnosed with 3 vascular compressions. Basically I've got MALS here, and then I've got NCS and MTS down here, and each of those things on their own are like really bad news. Like they're quite rare things. I know people who've only got one, who've only got MALS, who have like been like so emaciated that they've had to get pushed around in a wheelchair, being tube fed and shit like that. I was in A&E 3 weeks ago, and like Scapegoat had to fucking push us around in a fucking wheelchair and that, because if I stood up, I was just in excruciating pain. The contrast from like being here last time and being here now, mate, it's so frustrating more than anything. Like obviously it makes us sad and that makes us depressed, but it's frustrating because it's like, I still have that in us right now. I could do that show right now. I'd just be in fucking pain. I'd probably end up in a hospital or something. So that's why I'm trying to put together it's around 30,000, I think, like somewhere around there. I'm trying to put that together so I can go to Germany, or wherever I need to go. I think it'll be Germany, to just pay for it myself. So vascular compressions is like, there's a lot of, like, it's an umbrella term. There's a lot of different ones that can occur. But mine, for instance, the MALS, which is like up here somewhere, is like one of the main arteries that like feeds your bowel and a lot of your like digestive organs. Like the artery is actually so compressed that like hardly any blood is getting through it. Anything like heavy lifting or shouting or anything like that like kind of makes your blood vessels constrict a little bit anyway, so you got to pump blood like harder. So anything like that, like that's even remotely strenuous, like even like a heavy outward breath is like enough to make it hurt or like make it like flare my symptoms up. So that's just the one there, that affects like most of my digestion and stuff. And then the 2 down here, the doctor in Germany said like it was preventing like my kidney from draining blood. So like if I don't get that fixed, like my kidney will be in danger like in the future. And then there's another one which is like stopping blood flow to my leg, which makes it feel like I've got like a dead leg all the time. The other day, like I was laughing really hard, and like it's still kind of like triggered from that. Do you know what I mean? Just because I was laughing really hard. So it's like I feel like Bubble Boy or something. Do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I have to just like not do anything and just be pure like incubated, or else it like. But you can't do that. You know what I mean? So even though, you know, I've had all of these symptoms, like I tried my hardest to keep like things going, like keep the rapping going, and like when I couldn't perform, I still rapped at home. When I couldn't rap, I tried to rap quieter. But it's like you're just knocking it down and down and down to the point where it's like I actually feel like it's demeaning every time I do something, because it's like, well, I'm not being fully me here. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I have to be smaller and smaller and smaller, and I hate it. I've tried to just like learn how to produce videos, how to produce music, how to do everything with my brain and my fingers, because, well, it's all I can do right now. But if I can get really good at that right now and develop those skills, by the time I get better, hopefully I'll be good at fucking everything. So that's the way I'm trying to think about it. So obviously, like, it feels a bit awkward for me, like asking for money from people with like a GoFundMe or whatever, because I've been taught to be the type of person to like get it on my own. I learned to produce on my own, I learned to record vocals on my own. I wanted to do everything just like us, do you know what I mean? And that's what I'm like. I hate seeking, like begging. I hate begging. But like I don't know how I could get 30 grand on my own. All I really think about all the time like is just being back on stage, like just being better, being on stage, whether it's here in front of 200, 300, or whether it's like in the future in front of like 2,000. Obviously I want it for me, that's my dream and stuff, but like one of my biggest things since starting like this whole thing is like my dad passed away when I was 11. He was a very charismatic dude. Like he knew everyone. He had like a big character. Everyone remembered him. Like I want to do him like justice. Like I wanna make him proud. Like, do you know what I mean? My rap name, Shoshin Noel. Noel is because my dad's middle name was Noel, because he was born on Christmas Eve. So he was like Michael Noel Francis. When I want people like screaming my name, I want them screaming like Noel. Do you know what I mean? So that's, to me, like, that's what this all comes down to. Like, I want to get better, like for my dad, and I want to perform in front of, like, in all honesty, I don't just want to perform. I've got dreams to be fucking big, man. Like, and I would have got there. Like, I think I would. Like, I think I had the determination. Like, in the period of time that running went from 0 to what it was, I think if that had have continued on that, like, upward, like, I think it would have, maybe not by now, I wouldn't be like internationally famous, but that's the goal, you know what I mean? And I want to see fucking thousands of people screaming my dad's name, do you know what I mean? Like, that's what everything boils down to for me, like.